We're so excited for today's show. We're speaking with an industry professional. She has worked with some of the most amazing hotel companies in the world and continues to consult with them on everything from human resources to creating new systems to really just making the world and where they're working a better place. It's amazing to hear her talk about the qualities that make a great mentor and what to look for. And we're so excited that she could join us and lend her voice, experience, talent, and talk with us about what makes a good mentor. So thank you for joining us today with your host, Chef Adam Malley, myself, Kristy Whitford. Welcome to the Hotel Club Podcast. Enjoy the episode. Hey, Chef, how are you doing today?
Hey, good, Kristy. How are you? I'm a
Pretty.
little crazy today,
Are
but
you? Where are
it's
you?
I'm in Blowing Rock, North Carolina, opening a hotel here,
Oh,
and
how's
so
it
it's
going?
it's a bit chaotic, but comes with the territory.
Have you been sleeping at all?
Not at all.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. That's a rough experience, but isn't it amazing once the doors finally open, whenever that
W-
is?
Once the doors finally open, and the great thing is the people that work here, the staff that we've recruited and hired are so enthusiastic and so pumped to get training and learn and go through. We have some very rigorous training that we do to make sure people understand their roles and how to interact with a guest. And so for some of them, it's the first time they've ever seen that, and it's actually a great experience.
Are you giving a lot of advice?
Giving and getting,
Yeah.
learning a lot.
All this experience, right? And be able to say, like, please help me, guide me.
The great thing is I've had a long string of great mentors, so I don't need to throw anything, such as
Yeah.
pots and pans, and there's no yelling, no screaming. I learned that, and so that's been great, and I've been able to make that culture, propagate that culture throughout the hotel. So
Oh, I love it. I love mentorship. I think that's one of the things that can make you more successful. Obviously, keep you from throwing pots and pans. We know that. It's one of the things that could be your saving grace. I can't even imagine a career without a mentor that can calm you down, which is quite perfect for this episode because we have somehow wrangled this beautiful woman to join us, but we cannot say her name because she is the mentor to quite a few incredible people that are in our industry. And she agreed to come on the show and talk with us about what makes a great mentor. She has worked all over the country. She's actually worked outside of the country. She's traveled all over the world. She's also from Hawaii, so aloha. And she has
mahalo.
mahalo, right? She has so much experience, and we're so excited to share her with our listeners today because if you're looking for a mentor and you really want to understand what the purpose of having a mentor is and how to really find a great one, we have the most amazing person to share that with you. So, welcome to our show. We're so
Well, thank you.
excited.
So happy to be with both of you.
We love you.
I don't
We
know
Back
you.
at
I've
you.
never met you, and I have no idea who you are. But I have a feeling that you would have provided the mentorship that I would have always wanted. And
Knowing that we all go way back.
yes,
Yeah, we have some history, that's
We
for
have some
sure.
history.
Let's start with the first question. Do you think it's very important for someone to have a mentor in the workplace?
Well, I do, and I think mentors are all over the place. Seeking out a mentor that's specific to you is one way to go.
Hmm.
But as a manager, I think everybody has a responsibility to be a mentor, right? You go up, you go
Yeah.
down. So you've been mentored, you report to people that mentor you, but you turn around and you mentor others. For me, I think within the workplace, you see mentors everywhere. They could be, the GM, the executive committee, but it could be line level staff that's mentoring other people as well, and passing on skills and just being there to really listen to what's going on, find ways to help them. And I think always being a good sounding board. Which we've all done quite a bit of.
For sure. You've been a good sounding board in my career, that's for sure. I would not be who I am today without you. I have been on the phone with you many a time asking you for advice, so I'm so grateful. As someone that has been a part of incredible properties and amazing brands, you have been within hotels that are high luxury. They all have been five-star properties that are legendary, really. Do you find that the environment, when people are wearing a ton of different hats, do you find that sometimes people forget that it's important to be a good manager, a good mentor to other people?
Oh, for sure. And I think also we get so caught up in the workday that
Mhm.
it's at times difficult. And if you're under pressure yourself, how easy is it to try to turn around and mentor somebody else? Not so
Yeah.
easy, right? But
You always found time. Like you seldom kicked me out of your office, and for that I'm grateful. But you always managed to find the time and the grace to sit down and mentor me, give me great advice and great guidance. So you've made my career much better. And so thank you for that. But I was always impressed at your ability to in a turbulent maelstrom of people running around, you were able to sit down with me like there was nothing going on
oh,
and
well,
give me
thank
your
you.
full
Thank
attention.
you. Yeah, I think, well, when you're in HR, there's probably a different level of responsibility to be that mentor to as many people as you can. On that note, I would say when I find somebody, I can tell they're looking for a mentor, right? I can help guide them, be available to them and listen, give good advice when they want it. I've also found, just giving advice doesn't do it because people don't hear it if they're not ready to hear it. So, from being the mentor side of it, I really think I tend to mentor people that are open to wanting to grow. And that means a lot of times hearing hard truths.
Yeah.
I love that. It's so true, right? If you're not willing to hear, like you said, if you're not willing to hear it, then you're not going to grow, and you can't waste someone's time. You have to honor their time too because they're busy. I think I remember like seeking you out, and I learned just call first before you go because there could be a line outside that door. Like, what was she making in there? Some amazing burgers or something? I don't know, but there'd be a line out the door waiting to speak with you. But it's because your advice was so solid and so sound, and you were giving hard truths, right? And making yourself look in the face. It's not gonna feel good when you know that you're gonna hear something about yourself that you're like, "Oh, man, I gotta do the work. Ah, darn it."
I'm having flashbacks.
She's not kidding, I gotta do the work. What do you mean I'm not perfect? I thought I was doing everything perfect. Well, no, you're not,
But
but
if you have I think being a mentor, one, you have to have a good relationship with people. They have to trust you because if you're going to help guide them and give them information, they, one, have to be open to that information and they can do what they want with it, right?
Mhm.
And I always say, don't ask me for my opinion if you don't want to hear it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is very
So,
true.
right? Because I'm taking my time as well to share what I think.
Mhm.
And you can disregard it, at least as the mentee, you want to listen and make your own decisions about it. It works for you, it doesn't work for you, whatever. You own that part of it. But
Mhm.
as the mentor, it's not your position to just say, oh, everything's great, or you're doing a good job all the time. When it's time to do that, you do it. But there are hard truths that have to be talked about as well to help, I say, course correct people when they're maybe wandering down a wrong track. using a wrong style, whatever it might be, or getting, overly emotional about a situation, take a little time to calm down and then let's go
Yeah.
talk about it.
Take a walk, go get a cupcake, come back
Yeah,
later.
let's go walk around the block.
Yeah.
Well, you've talked me off the ledge numerous times, and it's been you've helped me avoid jumping into a worse situation to evade a bad situation rather than going to a positive situation. And so, I mean, but that's hard. It was a hard truth. And it was something like in my mind, I was like, this is going to be great. And you were like, are you sure about this?
Maybe not. I'm gonna
So
rethink
good.
that. But
And
when somebody's in
and
the
you
heat
were
of the
right.
moment, it's hard. You're not always thinking you're clear when you're in the heat of the moment, right? So
Yeah.
sometimes that outside person, like we've all worked together, so a lot of us being together was in the workplace, but we're years away from that now, and we're still all in contact with each other. That goes to Kristy, your point about still having a mentor outside your current environment.
Right, right. Because
So
it's good to have a mentor. If you can find one inside of the place where you're at, wherever you're working, it's great to have someone to go to. I mean, that is one of the things I will say I was spoiled. I mean, chef, would you say you were spoiled by having her so close by that you can just, like, go and talk with her? Versus now I'm like, "Oh my god," in
oh,
my
you've
life,
got
I'm
my
like, "Can I
number.
make"
Yeah.
I know, "Can I make time to talk with you, please?"
I didn't know that it went away.
Yeah.
I'm still spoiled. I
Definitely,
haven't
still spoiled.
I haven't found a better group of people who I trust more, quite honestly, than those I worked with at the time we worked together. And those are the people that I seek out for advice and wisdom. Obviously, both of you. There was something there where we all responded well to each other, and we mentored kind of each other and menteed and had a great relationship. And so it still continues, which I'm very grateful for.
Yeah, it's very
Um,
special.
yeah.
It is. Can I actually say what I think attributes to why that whole experience was so amazing? I think it was the hiring. I think that you and your team did such an amazing job of hiring the right people for the people that existed in the space already. You created that whole team based on all of our personalities to ensure that everybody was going to fit the puzzle that was already there. We were just like that missing piece to the jigsaw. And I think
Hiring
that's a
is,
hard thing to
as you
do.
all know, yeah, it's
Yeah.
very difficult. But I know where Kristy's going with this because I always say it. For hospitality, you have to hire nice, right?
Mm.
No matter
Yeah.
who comes through the door, there's training that we do to get you up to speed. You need some basic skills for the position you're going into. But if you're in hospitality and you're dealing with people day in and day out, nonstop, you have to want to do it, and you just have to be nice, because I always say you can't teach someone to be nice. So
Mhm.
a lot of times, people would have the right qualifications on paper and all of this, but they come in the interview, they don't smile or don't
Yeah.
engage. It's like, I mean, you probably could do the job, but seriously, are you going to be able to be out there in the public eye? And everything trickles down. If you're not happy in the job and like working with people,
Mhm.
you're not going to succeed. And the impression from the guest is going to be, what is going on here? So I
Right.
think you have to hire nice. You can't teach it, and it has to be the right fit, which goes to meshing with the team that you're going to be hiring for spa or front office, whatever it is. You have to look at the combination of the team that's already there and really try to make the best hire of everybody that's coming through for that job. 100%, not always, but
Yeah.
You
you do
hired
your
me.
best. You do your best.
That was the practical joke. I know this.
I don't know, but I
Oh,
know for me, I can get through an interview and down to, putting the resume aside after we do some of the basics and just really try to get to know that person in terms of how are they going to function in the job?
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to be happy in it? Yeah, hiring is really important. One bad hire destroys a team,
Yeah,
and we've all seen
definitely.
that. So, yeah, so you got to be really careful, but try to
Yeah.
get the right fit for what, you know, we're talking about hotels. That's our industry, but it would be the same anywhere else you go.
Right. If people stopped hiring just for the resume and hired for the right fit and the right actual person, personality, and someone that's nice, it's so true. You can hire anybody on a resume, right? But the fact is, like, if that person isn't nice and they aren't going to get along with the team and they aren't going to add more value to the company because they're fantastic in like their personality, it's just not going to work.
You know, I'm still saying you have to have the skill set. However, I always use the example that let's say you're hiring for the executive team, maybe
Mm.
not the general manager, but let's say for the executive team, and you hire somebody that's got everything they need on paper and they're smart and everything else. If they can't communicate, if they can't listen, if they can't share their knowledge, if they can't get along and, you know, play nice in the sandbox, you know, as a team mate, then the flip side of what happens is that destroys that team, you know, or that department. And we have seen that. Again, it's you have to have a lot of different components. You have to be able to work within that team in order to make the organization good, to keep people, reduce turnover, all the things that, you know, are subsets of, you know, hiring either the right person or the wrong person. Anyway, that's my take on it.
It, it's a really important take because turnover, especially now after COVID, is pretty rampant.
Right.
And what I'm seeing in the industry is both an uptick in turnover without a doubt, but also people aren't really looking at introspectively like how can we make this better. Everyone is hiring and sometimes not wisely,
Hmm.
and then you're stuck with this turnover, which is it gets expensive, it's draining,
Yeah, it's very
and not
expensive.
not
And
efficient.
I know for you're both still somewhat in the industry, chef, for sure, that, you know, in
Up to my
hotels,
eyeballs.
yeah, but you have to hire and people are hiring so quickly. It's difficult. And, you know, from the HR side, you get just buried under responses and resumes and, you know, of the times you just don't have the time to go through every single resume and trying to get people in and doing Zoom calls or what, however you're doing your recruiting, it is very difficult. So, and HR teams, for the most part, shout out to all my HR directors, are usually pretty understaffed, right? And
Yeah.
so you're doing all things for all people, and recruiting so important, but it's still only one of a myriad of functions going on. A lot of it gets passed on now to the managers to have to do some screening and all of that. So that complicates it. But then at the same time, it gives you that opportunity to start working with younger managers coming in, first time jobs or whatever, to sit with you and do interviews, start mentoring. That's another way to do it. You know,
Hmm.
don't just throw them out there, but have them sit with you and see what your style is, what works for them. I think it's helpful.
What do you think about people that are young managers? Because I've experienced where young managers are so ambitious that they're so siloed within themselves, almost like I don't know how to put it because I don't understand this mentality, but they don't want to seek out information from people that have more knowledge. They're against getting mentors and having someone to guide them. What does that say about them? Because do you think that someone like that who doesn't seek out the support that they have available to them, the industry is so big and beautiful and yet so small, right? That if you can't find someone in house, you can certainly have a connection somewhere with somebody. But for the people that aren't doing that, what does that say about their career and them as a leader?
Well, I don't like to generalize, so I think there's people like that, but they could be in any age group, really.
True.
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 So, I think you have to walk the talk, right? As if you're somebody who just naturally mentors, you are able to reach people at all different stages of their career. I think you probably heard me say, because I'm sure I've said it to both of you, is you need to meet people where they're at. Some people are open and they're just thirsty to learn new stuff. Some not so much, but maybe it's just they're not ready, or they haven't met the right person to mentor them that they're open to. No one person could be all things to all people. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I think a lot is how you carry yourself in the workplace is so important. If you're open, you listen, and I mean listen to really hear what the person's saying, not listen like waiting for my turn to talk, right?
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
really listen. You learn a lot about somebody. And to your point, Kristy, the person you're, mentioning, maybe they just haven't been approached in the right manner yet.
Mhm.
Maybe they're not ready. And these are personal choices along the way. And if people try to help you and you don't want the help, well, that's on you. You
Yeah.
know, and you either open up and start learning and developing, or, maybe not the right career, or, whatever it may be. But if you learn from it, that's okay too.
Yeah.
I
So,
find there's a profound lack of humility in the industry, and the ones
In
who are humble and are able to engage with people on a human level are the ones who are successful. And there are some general managers, there are colleagues of mine, and certainly in the kitchen, the ones who are humble are the best leaders, in my opinion. I know you've seen this, and I think I know you know who I'm talking about too. But
yeah. Yeah. I mean, being the loudest or offering your opinion all the time is not a guarantee of being a good mentor or somebody to follow, right? And you're right, being humble in the workplace and people seeking you out, and you give solid advice, not gratuitous, but solid advice when people need it. That translates to others. If you have a good experience with one person and they trust you, they're going to tell other colleagues about that, and they're going to steer them to you. Or at least that's been my experience. They'll say, go see, me.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like, "Have you seen her yet? Have you talked with her? Don't do anything
So
until you talk with her."
yeah, I mean, it does happen that way. But there's a lot of trust in it too, right? So I think all managers should develop the skill set to be a mentor to somebody else, pay
Right.
it forward. I was
Paying it
just saying,
forward.
between all of us, we have a lot of years of experience.
Yeah.
So, we're all paying it forward. Quite frankly, I consult now. I'm not tied to any one hotel, but when I go into hotels, there's just so many amazing young people coming up, and I love nothing more than mentoring them when they're open to it, because when they are, they really want to learn. And
Mhm.
so there's so much opportunity for people in our industry to just pass along what you've learned, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
Right? So, because it's not an easy path to follow in hospitality. I can't think of an industry that's more fun to be in.
No 2 days are alike, that's for
Uh-uh.
sure.
No, it's all
2 hours
people.
are like
No.
Yeah, but I mean, honest to God, between the guests and the colleagues, we're all about people, 24/7. So that's why you
Constantly.
hire nice.
You gotta like people, that's for
You like
sure.
people.
When you talk about people that are seeking a mentor when they are ready, what would you say is a great way to approach someone that you would like to mentor you? It might be something along the lines of, say, like dating, right? You're asking for someone's time, commitment, energy, and there's got to be a little bit of a fear of having some rejection maybe or someone just like I don't know. What would you say to someone where it's like you're considering it, you're ready for someone, you have someone in mind. How do you do it? Now what do you do?
Well, if you don't ask, you don't know,
Mhm.
first off. So you have to really want it, I guess, right? To ask somebody to be a mentor for you. And saying that, I think of myself right now. You asked me to do the show and I was terrified. So I'm using myself as the example. If you
Yeah.
don't be quiet, you don't know how you're going to do.
Right. I'm so glad you're here.
But I think, and I have to speak from being in HR. When people are coming in, young managers, mid managers, executives, the GM, I mean, it doesn't matter who it is. If they're coming to you, you kind of know that they're open,
Mhm.
right? So even if they're not asking, you can just be mentoring them. It doesn't have
Mm.
to be a specific we meet every week type of thing. But on the other hand, I have done a mentorship since I've been a consultant for HR for a year. And that was a full on mentorship, developmental program. And it was great. And I was in the hotel maybe a couple times a week, doing things from home, always being available to that person as I am to both of you.
Yeah.
So you can have a very structured thing. But I think in the workplace, there's a lot of mentoring that goes on that it really isn't so structured. I think, Chef, you said it, it's like you have to make yourself available, right? And especially if somebody's in crisis coming in or whatever, and they just need you then you
Mhm.
make yourself available and
Yeah.
deal with it,
It,
whatever it may be.
it's really support and
Mhm.
showing
Yeah.
that you're there and you have their back, and it's the essence of hospitality as far as I can tell. I've encountered situations where people have had things go on in their life where it's been of an emergent nature, car accident, family member sick, and in supporting them and really trying to help them, you're creating a bond that's I think deeper than a typical any other kind of work relationship. So it's also difficult as a mentor. Oh my God, I'm going to be losing this key person in a management role, and I have to figure out how to cover. At the same time, you're trying to react and help them get through their personal struggle, and so it's a interesting mental exercise, and it's something that it's taken me years to learn. The sun's going to come up tomorrow.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Nobody died. It's a good day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, it used to be, and again, this is just my personal take on it, a very old style thinking of, your personal life is your personal life, is work. So not true. It's just not true.
Yeah.
Everything that happens outside in people's lives comes into the workplace in one shape or another. And as managers, we just, have to learn to deal with all kinds of changes and difficulties. To your point, Chef, when you offer that support, people remember it too,
Mhm.
Mhm.
right? Which goes into having an environment for people that they feel comfortable in. They know if there's difficulties, they can go somewhere and talk about it. And a lot of times that is HR, but it could be to another manager, it could be to another colleague, but life intervenes all the time. It can't be discounted.
Right.
And I've gotten that support, and I never forgot it. And I've gotten it from surprising places too. People I never would have expected who have been compassionate and empathetic and certainly supportive. I'll never ever forget it.
What would you say, like, for a mentor when it comes to someone, is there a possibility that someone would want to be a mentor because it makes them look good versus doing it for the right reasons and really truly being authentic and wanting to help someone? How does someone decipher if a mentor is doing it for the right reason versus just wanting to have one more person underneath their wing to say, "Oh, I've got," collecting them like trophies, because that happens too, right? Where you have people like, "Yeah, I got a bunch of mentors." It's like, where would you give the time? And one, why? 'Cause
Yeah,
I work, like, well, how do you find out what are those qualities that someone should look for in a mentor that would be healthy for them?
that scenario is possible. I don't think that person in reality would be successful very long, right? True colors would show through.
One would think,
One would think, yeah.
right?
I think it would tell in time,
Mhm.
or at least the people around them would know. So
Yeah.
that goes back to what is the environment you're working in.
I've been in a situation before where, someone I was working with wanted to have mentorship from, another leader, and I wasn't from my experience, I didn't have a positive experience with that leader leading other people very well. And that just showed through various experiences and things that occurred in that person's career while we were working as peers. And I said to this person, "Are you sure you want to be connected to this person? Because this person doesn't have a good reputation, number one, and this person may not be doing this for the right reasons." And at the time, this person could not see all the bad that this person was doing because they were so hell bent on having a mentor in a specific division because they were thinking about themselves. Maybe that's the problem, is that it was of selfish nature. So selfish energy meets selfish energy. It's like, let's just take from each other. But are we ever really going to grow? Like, that happens too. That was actually one of the first time I've ever seen that. I was like, what is happening?
Well, that to me sounds like a life lesson,
Yeah.
right? You can't
Yeah.
prevent everything. And if somebody's, as you say, hell bent on it, that's how they learn, right? Hopefully learn. If it works out, great. If it didn't, note to self, don't
Yeah.
do that next time. A lot
I,
of us, myself included, are experiential learners.
Yeah.
you
I,
know, you make mistakes. The goal is to learn from it.
Yeah.
Don't do
I
that
Yeah.
think I
again.
think you've just both touched on something pretty important too with this, and that is there's a selfless nature to mentor,
Yeah.
Mhm.
giving your thought, giving yourself, and thinking about another person and what's best for them. And it's not, it's not a transactional thing like what are they going to do for me? If you're mentoring somebody in the real sense of the word, you're 100% working for them and trying to get them to be better. Uh, and I guess the reward there is the gratification that you've improved the quality of someone's life, or you've helped them achieve a goal that maybe they couldn't have gotten to alone.
Yeah, I think that's true because it does take a lot of time. If you're going to do it well, you have to do it for the right reasons. I can say personally from mentoring a lot of people, the gratification in seeing them start developing and growing and moving on is just the best feeling. It just really is. For me, I love doing it. Again, it is not for everyone.
No.
And to your point, I mean, the three of us are forever connected, but we all have people, especially from our industry, that are lifelong friends or that we've mentored over the years, and that relationships grown into really wonderful long-term relationships outside of work. So, other than time commitment, if
Mhm.
you want to do it and be a mentor, there's really no downside to it. And I mean, there's times when you mentor somebody and the reality is they may not be in the right job.
Right.
I
This is
mean,
true.
Yeah.
yeah, hard truths, right?
Yeah.
That you
Or
have.
they repeat the same lesson over and over
Yeah,
again,
that's a
and you're like,
problem.
"I'm gonna knock you over the head. What are you doing?"
What part of this did we not get?
The universe has brought the lesson one more time. Here we go.
So, yeah.
Well, what do you think about therapy in the workplace? Being as you obviously have this incredible experience, do you feel like it would be helpful for companies to consider this in the future?
Think so. I mean, HR is like, therapist on duty.
Yeah,
All
absolutely.
the time. I don't see any downside to it,
Yeah.
and people maybe just need a place to go and unload and all of that. Through a lot of the EAP programs, therapy is something that's offered. So, yeah, I totally would support that.
One
Nice.
thing about HR that I find has always been lacking is there's never an open bar. I mean, or
Yeah, yeah.
even a
Oh my
cash bar.
gosh.
I would be okay with a cash bar also, but it's like, come on, this should be standard in the industry now.
That's the after work hours.
Oh,
I
yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, fine, but sometimes
don't know if
a
you remember, I
little
used to
light.
have on my door
Oh yeah,
a little ceramic thing that said wine bar, but it was WHINE.
Yeah.
I remember that sign fondly.
Come on in. Who's next?
Yeah, next.
Okay, well, what do you think the qualities are that make a great person to lead inside of an HR team? You've been there, done that, still doing it and mentoring new leaders. But going back to what Chef was talking about, the high turnover rate that continues to happen in hotels. Where does that actually begin?
Well, there's a lot of things that contribute to turnover. Some in the workplace, some are just personal with the person you've hired or, whatever. I've always said if you're going to have a good HR office, you better have a lot of people coming in
Mm. Yeah.
because if nobody's coming in, you got a problem. So I know you were joking about line at the door, but
No, that was a
you
serious
want
thing.
people to feel safe and come to you with whatever that issue is. So I
Yeah.
think that's really important. That goes to building trust, relationships, being honest with people. One quality I can't stress enough is having a sense of humor. I mean, life is tough, things happen, but you have to have a sense of humor
You
to
do.
get through it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
chef? I think I've laughed until I've cried in your office,
Oh, yeah.
or the
Yeah.
opposite, cried into laughter. I don't know, on both ways.
Yeah.
Both ways, and then walking by and seeing that line and going, oh God, thank God that's not for me.
I think you look at qualities, and I know we talked about a little bit about qualities that make a good GM, but I think it's the same thing for the executive committee. I mean, sense of humor is important. Emotional maturity,
Oh my
I think,
gosh.
cannot be
Yes.
understated. It's just, or overstated. You have to come from a place where you're comfortable with yourself. If you've had a lot of experiences, you can understand a lot of people and be compassionate with them, self-awareness, know
Mhm.
that you don't have all the answers. I mean, for the kinds of situations that come into HR, you don't know what somebody's going to say. So there's
No.
no possible way to know everything, but how to be a good person and compassionate and listen and let that person unload whatever it is they need to unload
Right. Yeah.
goes a long way. At least get it out and then kind of look at the situation and then take it from there. But be real with people. I think ego is a big problem in some of our industry.
Right.
So keep
Yeah.
that
Not
out.
not in the kitchen though.
Not,
Not at
no,
all.
not in the kitchen, of course.
The spa people try to soothe everyone's egos. We're like, "Okay, that's enough. Let's turn it off."
Take it down.
Yeah, take it down a couple notches.
Mhm.
And also humble pie, right? What Chef was saying earlier, I think humble pie is very important. Having humility, being humble, being okay with not having all the answers, but truly being there for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
that's
think that's
important.
a big quality because it's probably safe to say we've all met people who think they know it all and don't need to listen to others. And that is really so detrimental, not only for the organization, really for that person as well, because how do you grow if you don't take in more information and know that you don't know it all? Who could have all the answers? I mean, like, let's get real.
Nobody.
Nobody.
Nobody, nobody.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think that's awesome to know. Those are great answers.
The self-awareness piece is really important. getting back to GMs, I've run the gamut, and I've seen GMs that have had incredible self-awareness and understood the value of just being genuine and treating people as human beings. And I've worked with a great GM who knew the names of people's children and their birthdays, and
Mm-hmm.
would say hello to everyone every morning and every night on the way in and on the way
Mhm.
out throughout the whole hotel. And it's a really rare quality. And then I've
Super rare.
worked with GMs who are above it all. They almost never succeed. Well, they actually do, but they don't really succeed in this in the true sense of the word. But they tend to get promoted a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's true. GM is true of executive committee. I think in our industry in particular, knowing all the colleagues is critical to developing just that rapport with everybody and that they know you know who they are and making the rounds, not sitting in the office all the time. And I think for HR, it's really important because if you don't know the colleagues, and we all know all kinds of stuff happens in the workplace, if you don't have people coming in that are comfortable just saying, heads up,
Yeah.
whatever is going on, then by the time you find out, it is too late. So
Yeah.
when you do develop these relationships and really know people and they know you and they trust you, then they will come and tell you what you need to know before you even know you need to know it.
Oh, you're like the rare one too. Like there are people I would say that I've tried to give a heads up to because I'm so used to having that kind of environment where I'm like, "Hey, I'm noticing this is happening. This is chitter chatter in the background." But going to what Chef was saying, right, when you don't have a GM that is open to receiving information and truly selfless and truly empathetic and compassionate about his team, when I wanted to share something with someone, it backfired, totally backfired,
Yeah.
and that was really sad to see because it was just a heads up in knowing that, hey, these are the things that are happening and people are leaving, they're planning their escape instead of trying to help people and understand them and try to get what's going on. It totally backfired on me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but in that case, you did what you knew was right and you did what
Yeah.
you could do, and then the rest is out of your control,
Right.
right?
Right.
So I think it's really important that on our journey, learn that we are responsible for what we do
Mhm.
and do our best. But beyond that, how it lands somewhere else is on the person you're giving the information to.
True.
You don't own that part of it. They own it. And
Mhm.
they can do what they want with it. You hope they're going to do the right thing, but a lot of times they do, and a lot, sometimes they don't.
You also learn what
Separate
that
it out.
person's character is, right? And that taught me so much in that moment. I was like, "Wow,
Mhm.
okay, now I know who I'm working for." And
Right.
that
And
makes
then
me sad.
that's a lesson for you. And then it's also an aha moment.
Yeah.
And then as things evolve in the workplace, you make decisions around what you've learned,
Yes,
right?
exactly. Exactly.
Or when it's time to leave, you type of thing. So
Yeah.
I guess my take on it.
So being married to a chef, which I just learned, I just need to compare notes because I
That'll be the after call. Yeah. I've been very, very fortunate. My husband is an amazing cook and has cooked for our family forever. Um, so we're all very spoiled and grateful.
Yeah. I've had some of his food, it's really good.
Yeah.
There's some I can't stop thinking about some of his food, and I'm like, "Oh, so good, so good."
nice to hear a
Yeah.
positive story and outcome of being married to a chef. I'm incredibly lucky, which actually a lot of credit goes to you too for that. You've helped make my personal life better and
Oh,
helped me be a better husband, better father. So I'm really fortunate. My wife doesn't get to see me as much as she or I would like, but we somehow make it through.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
that's sweet and good to hear. Thank you. He's not a chef by profession. He was also in hotels and then went out and got some sanity. Two hotel people in a family is a little rough. One is enough.
One is enough, yes.
Yeah, yeah, but we
So
are treated, our kids come over all the time and the grandkids, and we are very fortunate to have such great meals and so much fun.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. What's the best thing you've ever eaten since you are married to a chef and you've obviously eaten all over in some amazing places with great chefs too? What's the best thing you've ever had?
Well, so I was thinking about this when we talked the other day. So our go-to meal for my husband and I is so simple, but just love it, is grilled lamb chops that he makes. And then I make bruschetta, and then a bottle of red wine.
Yeah.
So that's our go-to simple, just love it. Just love it. And I love shrimp. So any way you cook shrimp, I'm going to eat that.
That I knew. I did know
Yeah,
that about you.
everybody that knows me knows that. So that might be a giveaway on this call. It's like, oh, one that likes shrimp. My husband and I were talking last night. The thing I love that's more from childhood and from Hawaii that I can't get it up here is a shrimp burger.
A
So
shrimp burger?
I know,
Oh,
right? It's only in Hawaii that I have found it. And even when I left the islands, every time I flew home to visit family, I'd go from the airport to the rental car to Byron's Drive-In.
Byron's Drive-In.
Yeah, it's not there any longer, sadly, but it was there. It's a local place. It was there forever. And I would always go there and go get my shrimp burger. Plain
Mhm.
rental car shrimp burger. And it's deep fried shrimp, so like 3 or 4 of them on a hamburger bun,
Ooh,
tartar sauce, coleslaw on top of the shrimp. And when you
that
eat
sounds
it, because it's deep fried, it's still, the shrimp is warm and it's crunchy and it's just like the best. So
oh,
now
yeah.
that I'm really craving it, I just make it for myself.
I'm gonna have to make it for you. I want to try it myself. It sounds
Right.
amazing.
You can't find it. When I say up here, I mean up here on the mainland. Even
Yeah.
the islands, Byron's Drive-In was the only place I could find it. So when I would leave after my little vacation or visit, I would go to Byron's Drive-In, get the shrimp burger, then return the rental car, and then get to the
Go in
airport
reverse.
in reverse. Yeah,
I love
exactly.
it. I will have to try this. Is it shrimp with tail on or with tail off?
Oh,
Okay. Oh, that sounds so wonderful.
so my
Delish.
husband and I did a cookbook together for our family and the recipes in the cookbook
Oh,
Awesome.
because he's
wonderful.
made
Okay.
so many great meals over, I don't want to say how many years, a lot, that we decided last year to do a cookbook and we put all the family recipes, all the things they love to eat for the kids
Mhm.
and grandkids are in there. And then we made it into like an heirloom because we put family history in there. My husband's dad was a great cook. His mother was a great cook. So it's in the lineage. And
That's
then
amazing.
family meal pictures around the table and just great stuff. But
That
they all have the recipes now
I must get the recipe for this shrimp
for
burger.
burger. I'll send it to you.
yes.
So, in your experience as both a mentee and a mentor, we wanted to ask you, what was the best advice you've ever received, and what was the worst advice you've ever received?
The best advice was from a GM I worked with my first position as an HR director. The piece of advice, we were getting into a conversation that wasn't going well.
Yeah.
He was asking for something for a colleague that did not seem fair to me. I have a mean streak of fairness, so it was like not sitting well with me. And then he looked at me and just said, get over it. Life is not fair. And I was not happy about that. And I went home and thought about it. And I was like, oh, he's right. It's just
Yeah.
so I've always remembered that, because there are times when you do your best and still not enough, and I think back to that. It's like you can only do so much, and sometimes it's just not fair. But when you understand that, not just say it, but you really understand it, I guess it gives you a way to cope with some things that you just really feel are not fair.
Hmm.
So, but if you've done your best, that's good.
Get over it. Life is not fair. I'm gonna
I
have to
think the
write that
worst. I was
somewhere.
trying to think. I haven't had seriously bad advice given. I have observed people behave in certain ways that I found, note to self, don't do that.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
You're not talking about me, are you?
No, 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 no,
How about me? Me?
no, no. When people do things well, you put it in your toolbox. You say that works, and then when you see
Yeah,
things that don't go well or bad behavior, you just say, note to self, don't do that. Right?
right.
Because it has repercussions. But putting that aside, worst advice I got, I can say I had a GM that told me, you have too many people coming into HR. They shouldn't all be coming down here. And I was like, okay, note to self, a
What?
lack of self-awareness.
Oh my
This is
god.
what we do.
Lack of common sense.
Yes.
I mean, it struck me funny. And at the same time, it's like, oh, well, that's a problem.
He's the problem, clearly.
Could be part of the problem. So, yeah.
Right?
Probably the worst, like, really?
You've been amazing. Thank
Oh,
you
well,
so
thank you.
much.
So much fun with both of you.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I
Got over
hope
So
my
that
much fun.
fear.
I hope you come back again because there's so much more we'd love to talk about with you,
Oh, I'd
and
be happy to.
that would be amazing. Yeah. She's gonna come back. So
I actually learned
excited.
something today too, so
The
this has
shrimp
been
Yeah.
great.
burger.
Well, no, the shrimp burger, yeah, definitely. I'm putting that in my arsenal. Um, no, the get over it. Life isn't always fair. I mean that
It's just
tr
not.
it's true. It's actually frighteningly profound.
Right?
Simple.
Once you take it in, it is. It's
Yeah.
like, okay.
There you go. Me
Mhm.
too. I'm gonna put that in my brain today. I'm gonna write it and put it right here on the wall for myself to read,
It
just
just
to
helps
remind myself.
you kind of get a focus on things.
Mhm.
If they're just going really bad and you're really trying hard, at the end of the day, maybe it's just a situation that's just not going to be fair. And then you make choices about that, right? Do you stay in that situation? Do you get out of that situation? Whatever.
Just gotta move on.
Got to move on sometimes.
Well, can we ask you our last question of the day? What are you most grateful for?
I am incredibly grateful for my family and my extended family,
Yeah.
including both of you and many, many others. I was thinking about it. Most of long-term relationships that we have are with our hotel families. I know I remember, thinking back, I'm from Hawaii, small island. I thought I would never leave there. Hotels is what brought me to the mainland and the career in HR and everything else. That I would ever have friends all over the world is just like mind blowing to me and so wonderful. I'm grateful for that too.
We're grateful
Mostly
for
to my
you.
family. Oh my God, they're amazing.
You do. You have an amazing family. Your kids, your whole family, your husband, babies,
Grandkids.
your
Yeah.
grandkids. Just
Yeah.
incredible. It's so beautiful to see you so happy, and it's
No,
wonderful.
so somebody recent, that's funny you say that. I was at a hotel recently and somebody was like, how can you do this job and do what you do and stay upbeat? And I said, at the end of the day, I'm a really happy person. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
you have bad days, but you get through that. And Chef, you said sunshine, sun comes up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Everybody has a bad day here and there, but yeah, I'm very fortunate. I know that. Shout out to my family
Aw.
and my extended family.
We love you. We
We're
absolutely
Love
love
you
you.
guys too.
we're grateful to be part of your extended family as well.
Yeah,
It's a
thank you.
privilege. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a part of today's episode and
My
for
pleasure.
lending
Thank you.
all your knowledge, your experience, and teaching people what does make a good mentor. So I hope it really does help a lot of people. We will talk to you again. So excited you're going to come back. Love you lots.
Love you lots. Take care.
Have
Bye.
Bye.
have a great day. Talk soon.
Thank you so much for joining us today for this amazing conversation. We're so glad that we had such a wonderful person joining us where she could talk about her insight and all the knowledge that she's gained in seeking the perfect mentor, and also how to be a great mentor if people are coming to you. So I hope that you've learned a lot today and that you take this out and you start building those connections where they didn't exist and start to mentor others or start finding your perfect mentor. It was such a pleasure to have you all. We hope you have a fantastic day wherever you are. Take care, be kind. Thank you for being a part of the Hotel Club podcast with Chef Adam Malley and myself, Kristy Whitford. Cheers.